Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thank you for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. We welcome your contributions, and shortly we'll be linking up with our Nakuru-based correspondent, Marianne Nyambura. Yes, Tobole, you had a point. Please proceed.
Yeah, thank you, Ayub. I wanted to react on Daktari Lochodo's point on the, on the political class and intervention from the ground. For one, I wish to say that from the side of the bandits, I blame the political class for not cascading the information down. Instead, they stand to benefit from this banditry by being popular before their people and not even commenting on the attacks. I've never had members of parliament from Tiaty and West Pokot condemn banditry. It appears to them if you condemn, then you lose the political strength from your base. But
Tobole, it's unfair that there's the wholesale and the general placing of the blame on the leadership from Tiaty and West Pokot counties. This is a general problem we are discussing. And does it then not apply that when, for example, that Daktari had talked about Baringo, and he said, isn't it the case of Baringo when you had reached out to the people, and they told him that there's absence in leadership where our politicians, the problem also is on the other part. Therefore, is it not fair for you to blame it squarely on leadership from Tiaty and West Pokot counties?
I find it to be fair because there is never a time when you have had people from Baringo attacking Tiaty or West Pokot to steal cattle or to kill anyone. We are always the victims. And our leaders would speak from our side to defend us. But them, they would be silent when there is attack. And by the way...
But Daktari points out that there was absence in leadership because he has walked through this area until to the interior where he spoke with people. They opened up. He talked about the psychosocial question, and they told him exclusively that this is a political problem to some extent and that they have no ability to reach out to their leadership, and therefore they requested him to call them. Seems that there's a general political problem. It's not Tiaty, it's not Baringo North, it's not Baringo South, it's not West Pokot, it's not Samburu, it's not Turkana. It's a general problem.
Now, Ayub, in the ground, when I tell you Saimosoi word, Bartabwa word, Muchongoi word, among other words, even the very MCAs attend funerals. Almost every, you shared statistics there. It is fundraising after fundraising, like the popularly former song, Pate after Pate. Fundraising for funeral. Those political leaders, the MCAs, the members of parliament, are in the ground to grieve with the people. But no initial, they are there, they are in the ground. It's not like they are not there. I blame the other leaders for not also standing against this thing and condemning it publicly to protect their political interest. And I want you to listen to me. Allow me to maybe conclude this.
Okay, I'll allow you to proceed. Allow me to get to Marianne. Okay. Just when I'll come to you because I have my colleague who is standing by at the DCI headquarters, Rift Valley region, who has been keeping a track of the political leaders who are summoned by the DCI Rift Valley region. Good morning to you, Marianne. And the list keeps on growing, but there seems to be no substantive answer as to these statements that are often recorded with regards to how the DCI comes to a conclusion of using the statements that they get from the leadership of the region from the different counties to an effect of addressing this problem.
Absolutely, Ayub. Well, indeed, as CS Kindiki mentioned, as he was in Elgeyo Marakwet County 2 days ago, he said that the financials, they're closing in on the financials, so it's a matter of wait and see. Because given that the Directorate of Criminal Investigations or officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations in the Rift Valley region have been tight-lipped regarding this matter over and over. But the last 2 months, we've seen a myriad of activity here at the DCI offices in Nakuru as these leaders, political leaders, a total of about 8 political leaders have in the past 2 months recorded statements as regards to what they know regarding the banditry attacks in the North Rift region, more so the 6 counties that were gazetted as disturbed, including Elgeyo Marakwet, including Baringo, including Laikipia, Samburu, West Pokot, as well as Elgeyo Marakwet. Top of the list, of course, over the years, we've seen these political leaders record statements. But really the question is, have these statements actually bore any fruit, or have they yielded any fruit? That's a matter of wait and see, as CS Kindiki mentioned, that they are closing in on this matter. So on the financials more so. Well, remember that over the years, even looking at, say, just a month ago, we saw on the 12th of February, a total of about 7 political leaders recorded statements. It was a busy week here for the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, Rift Valley region, seeing William Kamket recording a statement on that same day. He was actually arrested a day before, detained at the Central Police Station, and the following morning was brought into the DCI headquarters to shed more light into this particular matter. Among those who also recorded statements that time include the Turkana Governor, Jeremiah Lomurkai. We also saw Samburu Governor the same week record a statement, Jonathan Lelelit, as regards to what they know. Members of Parliament too have been here, and as well as the Deputy Governor West Pokot by the name Robert Komole, all recording statements, trying to shed more light into what exactly they know. But as much as they do that, well, most of them address the press immediately after recording statements, and they talk about how they recorded statements, what exactly they know. But perhaps really the Directorate of Criminal Investigations has not really been revealing what these statements are all about. But what we know so far is that police officers or other detectives have been trying to understand what exactly is happening in the North Rift region. But the question is, over the years, it's been decades since these reports were written, or political leaders or those from the disturbed areas, the bandit-prone areas have been recorded statements. The question is, what exactly are DCI looking into? Last month, for all the political leaders that are mentioned, about 7 of them recorded statements here. Their phones were actually confiscated, and what we understand is that they were making sure that they do a forensic analysis to see if at all they have any links, direct links to the banditry attacks, if at all they are financing, if at all they are if at all they are financing as well as incitement to violence. If that is happening, then what the DCI says is that they'll pin them down through that forensic analysis. So as it stands right now, yesterday, the latest person to record a statement, this is for a second time in 1 month, was Samburu Governor Jonathan Lelelit, who claimed that he was being harassed by the DCI officers because his summons lasted for about 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He walked in at around 10 a.m. yesterday. By 10:20, he was actually out. And once we really wanted to find out what exactly the summon's all about, lasting 10 minutes, he said he was just given crucial documents to sign, and that was it, and told to leave. So he claims harassment. But now, as much as that is happening, we've seen the political leaders stress the need for the government to ensure that they bring this vice to an end, because the number of people who have died over the years keeps on increasing, and the fact that right now the incessant attacks have been on the rise right now, more so in Baringo as well as Samburu counties. So really, as well as Elgeyo Marakwet, and even seeing an elected leader succumbing because he was shot. That is Angata Nainyukie Ward MCA Paul Leshimpiro, who died a week ago and was buried on Saturday last week rather. So these are questions that, of course, DCI will continue to crack their heads to try and get answers as regards to who exactly is financing, as regards to which political leaders or any other affiliates are involved in this particular matter. So the question right now, Ayub, is it really hard for the government to bring this vice to an end? It's been decades. Different political leaders or administrations have been coming in and leaving, but the banditry attacks still persist in these 6 counties. So what exactly will they do at the moment? Ayub?
Thank you, Marian Nyambura, and her vast understanding on display there, and to the many questions that remain unanswered. Thank you so much. Your time is all appreciated, and good morning. Yes, Josephine, you had a point. I'll come to you.
Okay. Yes, so my input on the political manipulation of insecurity is that it is sad, because right from campaigns, we would hear even clips of political leaders from our warring communities promising the people in their local dialects, like, if you elect me, I will get you this and this, let's say land, or make sure this community does not attack you, things like that. So the community moves from electing leaders who can bring development to people who they want to help them in the insecurity issue. Because I'll tell you, even the bandits are tired, but because of that continuation and promises and manipulation and fueling of the banditry by the political class, I think, and that's why everybody has it's a collective responsibility, where when we say it's politicians are contributing, the community is contributing by participating, the state is contributing by not doing much, and also the people themselves, like all the stakeholders involved, is contributing. Because right now, when we look at the civil society, what happened to the civil society in Kenya? We don't hear much about the civil society in Kenya anymore, because all these issues, yes, we know there is also the church. Yeah. Where is the church in the issues of peace in those regions? And yet we have churches in almost every village. Sometimes when we hear the excuses we get, like, these people are hard to reach. How hard is it to reach? But when it is ballot time, Ayub, when it's voter registration, the voter registration will come to your door, to that bandit's door. When it comes to census in this country, when we are counting people per head, people will go to those mountains, hills, valleys to get these people. But when it comes to insecurity, it's unreachable, or it's unpassable. And where I come from, for example, and I'm sure even our neighbors here, we have this power line called the Kentraco. It cuts across hills, valleys, rivers, everywhere, and the roads used to be created to reach that place. And you would even go to a forest where there is nobody, and these things are there. But yet, when something happens there, the agencies of security cannot reach there because of so many excuses. So, as I said, it's a collective responsibility. Yes. Everyone has a role to play. And the role also differs with what level. You know, from the state having the bigger role of ensuring protection of lives, the fundamental human rights and freedoms, making sure people are living in peace, to the other agencies that I've just mentioned, like the churches and all other people who are supposed to ensure. So everyone has a responsibility in security.
Okay. Brigadier, as Marianne just told us, the list of the political leadership that is summoned by the DCI Rift Valley region keeps on growing. So is the paperwork of what they tell the Directorate of Criminal Investigation detectives. But it seems that more is going in as input, but the output is not addressing the problem that we are discussing.
Thank you very much, Ayub. I'm happy with what the leaders have said here. I want to make it very clear that in the social contract in this country, one of the key requirements is the establishment of rule of law, whereby after that, I'm assured of my security. If you fail with that security, I will secure myself. In this case, it's exactly the case. You have failed in the social contract. You have failed, you have put the rule of law, and you don't enforce it. It's there, very clear. We all know what should not be done. And for me, coming from security institution, I don't blame the locals at all. I have no issue with them. Go on fighting. But I will come for you. Whoever you are, I'll come for you. And when I come on 3 principles. 1, I have the monopoly to use force if need be. Number 2, I'm the government, I have responsibility. Number 3, I'll be neutral and impartial. And number 4, I'll use force. Until we get peace. Now for me, it's a total failure. We can't have DCs, county commissioners, police. No. It's their responsibility to get down to the village and solve this thing. And when you do that, don't care who is who. The politician can go to hell, make all the mess he wants, but I'll do what I'm supposed to do as a responsibility. Way back, Mount Elgon, in the 90s, we had a problem.
Yes.
And the military came in. And Ayub, we had a free hand. We were told, go and solve that problem once and for all. I know what we did to Latodo. He was the key issue. I know what we did. We went up to the top of the mountain, cleared them all. Nobody could touch us. But you are doing it right. And they all said, go ahead. Those areas were untouchables. You couldn't go in, you couldn't do anything. Today, I'll repeat again. In an independent country, 61 years independence, we have ungoverned territories. Well, now, the other point is, these guys are so armed. They're so committed. They're so strong. I'm sorry for this. Even the police fear them. The police fear them. I was going to talk about KDF. I'll keep quiet for now. The police fear them. Tell them, go out, they'll go for a bit and move back. Because they're well armed and they're dangerous. What you need, by the way, is not the normal police. We require a strong KDF, Special Forces. We require the GSU. We require the Special Operations Group of the AP.
Yeah.
Give them a free hand. Tell them once and for all, go and get it right. Once they have done that, now maintain peace continuously without fear. And I want to see government agents, workers, employees from the PC,
yes,
the DC, all sacked. If your area, you can't manage your area, they're sacked. What are you doing there? We have prepared you. We have resources. No. And move in without care. You don't care who is who. And put this right. It's unacceptable, and you can't allow this.
So this can be addressed?
Yes.
It's very simple. It's very simple. That commitment, in fact, Kindiki said, unfortunately, disturbed and danger in an independent country. You say that to who? You're addressing who? No. Tell the DC, bring it to an end. As he said, give him resources. Tell him, no, I can't attain that. Go down there. And by the way, as I said, I'll say again, we have all the information. Okay. We know everything. Whom do you fear? The problem is with the government, unfortunately, the government, workers, the element of a free hand to do what you want to do is lacking. They're waiting for instructions from above. You have the resources. Yeah. You are there for the whole year. You're on ground. Why do you wait for KDF to come in? No. Ask what you want 24/7. Ensure it is done. And don't care. I don't blame people. Yeah. Don't blame people. Okay. Go and do what's required. They'll come to you and say, this was too forceful. Yes, get it right. Let them silence them. That is the word. Silence them without care. We must bring an end to this. If you don't do that, Ayub,
yes,
we'll go back to the situation of North Mozambique.
Yeah.
Remember, when you have ungoverned spaces, others come in. We are doing that now. They will come in. And when they come in, they're controllable. It's chaos. Let's take charge.
Okay.
I wanted to give an example of what he's saying.
Yes.
Like in Samburu, we just lost, as the lady on the news was just saying, the MCA. And he was just shot between town to his town, which is on the highway, like 20 minutes drive on the highway. And when his car was approaching a lorry that was being attacked, they decided to shoot him in the hurriedness of the fear. But now, that is not even the issue. The same day, when he was being shot, there are some goats in his village that were taken. And the NPR that followed those goats with a few other people who were not armed, when they were coming back, because now they went, it became too much. And when they were coming back, the NPR guy was shot and the gun was taken. It's been 2 weeks since that guy was shot. The police claim they cannot go there because they also fear for their lives. So that's why he's asking, what are they fearing? Okay. And they have the guns. Yes. And so we are saying, if that person died, carrying a government gun, the gun went, the police cannot go and even retrieve the body. It's sad. Even right now, he has not been buried.
Okay. Dr. Lochode, two questions in one. How have years of underdevelopment contributed to this? And then second, how is the current problem compounding the very same problem, in the sense of stalling development projects, abandoning homes and farms by people because of fear of insecurity, school dropouts, no continuity in education, poverty, and the loss of lives? Is it not a double-edged sword?
Thank you, Ayub. I think there is this talk of underdevelopment, marginalization for many, many years. Yes, indeed, we have been marginalized. We don't deny the fact that we've been marginalized. But haven't we also not marginalized ourselves? Because if we keep on crying since independence that we are being marginalized, then when are we likely to develop? The issue here is true, and let me just take you back. I don't know if we are really dealing with cattle rustling. Yeah. Are we dealing with banditry? I don't think we are dealing with banditry or cattle rustling. No. I think this thing has just metamorphosized. It has really changed. It has taken a different course. Initially, it used to be cattle rustling, as alluded by Dr. Josephine, that people could go there, restock themselves, and then come back. But it's no longer the same issue. Look, for example, in Turkana itself, from January to date, we've lost 6 people. We've lost a school teacher, we've lost students, and we've lost even the elderly people in the village. And there's nothing that has been taken. What are we likely to call that? Are we going to call that banditry? Are we going to call that cattle rustling? No. I think there's something that is happening. Something has just changed. And this is one thing that is really marginalizing us right now. It's now the issue of, how do I want to put it? It's now the issue is a resource-based. Let me put it that way. It's a resource-based. Because if you don't take cows, if you don't take cattle, then what are you up to? Why are you killing people who are just charcoal burners? Why are you killing people who are just taking care of their farms? Why are you killing students who are just going to schools? In Katilu, in Lomerimudang, in Turkana, people have lost. From November last year to date, we've lost almost 11 people. And you know one thing that is happening, strange enough, even kidnapping has come in. As we are talking today, we have 3 people who are missing, including a child, a grade 7 child, who is not known where he's gone. They have just been kidnapped. So the marginalization and the development has come because of this banditry. We call it, these guys are just becoming Al-Shabaab. Let's just call them that way, because they're not taking any cows now. This underdevelopment has created a monopoly of business. Someone somewhere is seated and wants to ensure that no one is developing. Because of what? They are the ones who are benefiting from the cows which are being stolen. When the cows are being stolen, we don't see even a single cow in the village. Where do these cows go? There are those who are financing this, and they are creating underdevelopment within our people. And then now, in as much as we want to develop, we cannot develop in a society whereby people have a different mindset. We need to change the mindset of the people. We need to take our children to school. We need security so that our children can go to school. We need security so that we can be able to till our land, so that we can bring in development. And once we are able to till our land, then we will have sufficient, we will be food secure. I'll give you an example of a place called Kainuk. Kainuk is a strategic town in Turkana, but it's totally abandoned. No one seems to be living in that place. We only have few women in that area. There are no men. Men have all run away because of insecurity, because the target is the men. They have all gone away. So Kainuk is a dead town. If we need to revive such a cities, to develop such a cities, then the government must beef up security. Funny enough, we have a KDF installation just nearby, in a place called Loyapat. They're there. But Kainuk is insecure. How possible is that?
Okay. Yes, Tobole.
Thank you, Ayub. I want you to allow me to paint a picture in a few seconds of the state, how the state of the extent of insecurity in these areas affected, and in Baringo in particular. We are in a situation where people who used to own huge herds of cattle are now poor and miserable. They have nothing. And Makiu, in the Baringo North, the lowland parts, the Bartabwa, Barwesa ward, Saimosoi, and Baringo South, Mochongoi ward, and the Ilchamus ward, the main economic activity is livestock keeping, where people would sell their goats and their children go to school. Sell your cow and your child goes to school. And when they even call a fundraiser to finance students jointly who need to go to school, you just bring your goat, your cow, your sheep, and that's done. As we speak, those communities are miserably poor. They do not own any livestock. That is for one. And two, they are homeless. They are now IDPs. They are displaced. They cannot live in their land. Now, and this is way into independence in Kenya. Now, like he said, Brigadier said, there is a phrase in Kiswahili, amani haiji ila kwa ncha ya upanga. Let me tell you, Abdikadir, there is no negotiation that the government can do with the bandits. In fact, when we have activities, peace-building activities like sports, peace meetings, like churches, prayer meetings, and so on, the real target, the bandits, are in the bushes. They don't own mobile phones. They don't watch even this show. So they are not aware of your meetings between Pokots and Tugans by elders to restore peace. They are in the bush. In fact, there's a day there was a tournament in Kinyach, in Baringo, in Barwesa Ward, and an attack happens just in the neighborhood because they are not aware of those peacekeeping meetings.
Very important point. How then can they be reached?
They can be reached by the gun. Let me tell you that. The government, by the way, there is no operation that...
hideouts are not.
Yeah, there is no operation that has ever taken place in these places. In Baringo, there is no operation. Someone talked about the government being reactive. And I want to say the government should stop being reactive and instead be proactive. They should run a thorough operation. They map the areas, let the KDF, the GSU, the AP, and all the security agencies map the place first, because the bandits know the place more than the security agencies. Let them map. This one needs a strategy. They map the place. After mapping the place, they organize their command structure, and now they begin an operation like that of the Sabaot Land Defense Forces. I think you talked about 90s. It was actually 2003 there when President Kibaki had just taken over. And the Mungikis, remember, they were terrorizing people all over. The government stopped them. The MRC, among others. Let a thorough operation be done. You know, the bandits have dared the government enough.
Okay.
They have dared. They have shown the government. So what can you do? Just so that I can end this.
Yeah.
Remember, even when a teacher at Kagir, whom you talked about, a blind teacher who was shot, a head teacher who was remaining at the periphery, at the border. He was the one trying to educate children bordering Tiati and Baringo. He was killed, and burying him was a problem. Bandits shot at people who were digging the grave. They said, you will not bury him. They dared the government. A contingent of police officers escorted the hearse and the body to the burial. Even our political leaders had to fly via a chopper. And after the funeral, people could not go home. They stopped them. They had to change the route. That is the extent of the courage and the daring that the bandits have had against the government.
Yes.
So, an operation, a thorough operation must be done. Shoot to kill, merciless operation. Okay. Even if there are politicians call press conference.
Well, I have to intervene there and be responsive in the manner we make our submissions here. And we be fair to all. Well, I don't think that's applicable, the shoot-to-kill order, in our context of law and the constitutional architecture, where anyone who is also accused can be presented before a court of law and is innocent until proven guilty. And that is the beauty of what we have given ourselves as the set of laws that govern ourselves. Therefore, that is not the view of the Royal Media Services or that of this morning show here on Daybreak. Therefore, that is your personal opinion, and therefore had to intervene at that.
There's a group of very important key people in the community that is being forgotten. These bandits have mothers. They have households they come from. Why aren't they being asked, where are your children? You know, if your child has been missing for 3 months, he's not coming. They come once in a while, you cook for them, and of course they are carrying guns, or you know that your child has a gun. So if for example, the government was serious about getting these children, like, because they are children, Ayub, these are children under 25 years. Because if we were serious about addressing this issue, like even on a long term, why are we allowing children under 25 years to terrorize the communities? And where is our data? Where is our household data? Do you want to tell me the chiefs do not know that this household has 2 warriors, 2 Morans who are missing, who have not been around for the last 3 months? So households can be held accountable, where the community can participate. And that's why we are saying if everyone was involved in participation, especially the women, they would open up their mind, their hearts and say, okay, my child, I'm ready to bring up that this child is involved. And that way the community engagement will work. So I think the consulting of the holistic approach of the insecurity within the community structures, as we said, is the way to.
Okay, I'll come to you, Brigadier Retired. Let's then get this, the burial that he talked about, which had to happen in the presence of security officials, and thereafter they had to guarantee the public here, is what we are seeing on the screens. It took the intervention of the security personnel who had to escort the hearse. You can see there a lorry that had the contingent of the security team, and also the Land Cruiser just behind that, which was safeguarding the hearse for the burial. And this is just but the extent of the problem that needs to be addressed in the region, and how the insecurity problem continues to have the compounding effect of also affecting the learning institutions in the region, livelihoods, and also people who are no longer able to live in their homesteads, leading to internally displaced persons. And just but an example of this coverage that we have done during the burial of the head teacher who was killed, and who had served a purpose in life of educating the people about the significance of education, and why it was to him very important and a tool to end the bandit problem in the region. And you can see this is just an aerial surveillance that the security team had done to ensure that the teacher had to be laid to rest peacefully because of the tension that at the time was in the area. Brigadier, interesting, is it?
Thank you very much, Ayub. Let me bring some order also and say that as a security expert, what we want is peace and order. What we want is sustainable peace and development. What we want is respect for the rule of law. What we want is our people to live in peace, to enjoy our independence, to develop, peacefully and live harmoniously among each other. And that remains a government responsibility. So what we need for the government, I can say confidently, Ayub, let's sit down together. Call the experts, they are there in this country. Prepare a grand strategy, which is peaceful, but set the rules of the game. That we were absent for a while. We have a responsibility in this country. We want to come in and provide peace and order. We want to come in and help the people develop. We want people to live together as one country. We are all one people. And therefore, rule of law will apply, will not in any way harm anybody who lives as a peace-loving citizen. But when you cross the threshold, when you do what we don't want, when you bring disharmony, even as politicians, the rule of law will prevail. And we'll do it within the confines of the law.
Yeah.
But when it goes beyond that, we prepare a proper strategy. We'll give you time. For instance, like 1, 2, 3 months. See what happens after that. If they bring peace, we'll talk to them, by the way, as you say. We'll try and win hearts and minds. But for those who are armed, for those who don't obey the law as defined in this country, we won't allow that to prevail. We will, within means, apply the rule of law, take them to court if need be. But remember, when you, a local person, choose to take an arm, to shoot at government officers who have come to bring peace and order, it's no longer peace. I can assure you, in a proper grand strategy, coming forcefully as it is now, in order to provide peace and security, in order to take charge of the ungoverned territories. Sometimes it's risky, sometimes there are losses, and everybody has been prepared for it. But my word to everybody is, please, put down the arms. Where you have issues, talk to the government. Where there is that element of discomfort, talk to government, talk to each other. Now, at the same time, the government cannot delegate its responsibility for peace and security to what you call peace corps. No. The government has 100% responsibility, not to NGOs. No, forget about that. Ayub, the government must take charge in a professional way. Anybody coming on board comes to support, not as a principal. No. The government takes charge. And that's the only way you can do this. And I feel, as I said, it has gone beyond the threshold. We need a total addressing of the issue from a different angle altogether. Come in peacefully, put the laws very clear, seek that peace you are seeking, but if you choose to go the other way, the government has responsibility to ensure the locals live in peace and harmony.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, Daktari, coming to you then, what then is needed? Because what you described earlier on more or less borders on the financial networks of the people who are involved, the clearly established enterprise, including the identification and the prosecution of the financiers. How can that be dovetailed by the records that the DCA has in Nakuru County, plus this entirely established and fully functioning enterprise where you said now it's no longer about the animals, but now livelihoods. There are people who are directly targeted. It seems that this is a network that ought to be destroyed and involves a mishmash of different persons, be they from Samburu, Turkana, West Pokot, Baringo, Elgeyo Marakwet. I mean, how can this be disrupted? Because they seem to be much organized.
Yeah, thank you, Ayub. I think, number one, I think what needs to be done is involve the community themselves. Involve the volunteers within the community. When I talk about the volunteers, we have the peace committees within the communities. And some of these peace committees they're really very good. From both sides, even from Pokot, from Turkana, from Samburus, from Marakwet, they can volunteer and give you the information, the required information, because they have the information at hand. Who are these people who are involved in these networks? Because it's already a network. And if we involve them, then that the better. I'll give you a sad scenario. In this year, in Marakwet, we lost 3 peace ambassadors, the peace crusaders, who were just killed in a place called Chesongoch. And it was really unfortunate. These people had no guns. They had no animals, but they were just shot at. And they were peace ambassadors, like me. So that's the price we pay as peace ambassadors in this country. We just need them to give us space to talk to them, because we come to you in peace, and we have to live in peace. I am also a religious person.
Yeah.
And the Bible tells me from Romans 12:8 that if it is possible, let's live at peace with each other. Why can't we just live at peace? Why are we killing one another? So we need to disrupt that network. Number 2, what we need to do is actually to do conduct a comprehensive disarmament exercise to get rid of all the illicit or the illegal guns. The guns are not meant for the locals. Guns are for the government. Let the government have their guns. Let us just have our sticks and we go to the streets and take care of our cows and goats. That's the best thing we can do. Because the more we leave these guns into wrong hands, we have not been trained to use the gun. It is the security forces who have been trained to use the gun. So sometimes we use this gun in an appropriate manner. And we need to stop the roots, the proliferation of small arms that are coming into our country. We need to stop those roots. And these roots are known. Then the people who are responsible, to be honest, intelligence information is already there. It is just translating what they already have into action.
Yeah.
And if that action is taken, then the better. Number 3, let's involve the religious community. Catholic have a very good network. SCK have a good network. Other Pentecostal churches have good networks. They are everywhere. The mosques are everywhere. If we involve the religious leaders, I am sure we can be able to stem it, because we know. We preach to them every day, their mothers, their fathers, and even the criminals themselves. And some of them, like what I saw recently, one of them going to a church and handing over a gun to the pastor.
Yeah.
Why can't we encourage them to give back these guns? I was in Baringo and in Marigat last year. And one of the guys who were terrorizing the area decided to volunteer and said, I think I'm involved in this activity and I have to stop it. So let's go to them. Let's talk to them. And then let's also understand, why are they going to raid? That's the psychosocial aspect I was talking about. Because if I don't have any animals, I am poor. The government has taken so long to respond to my need. So what am I left with? It's just to look for a gun and then go and fight and get the animals. So if the government can intervene at the appropriate time, then we can be able to stem out this menace once and for all.
And shortly we'll be taking a look at the feedback, because there are many questions that our viewers are raising and you'll be responding to them. Tobole, coming to you as we get the feedback ready. How then does the government ought to convey the message? Is it supposed to be more persuasive than, for example, getting there with brute force and operation, in the case of what Dr. has just mentioned of someone volunteering even during a church service, handing over his gun, another one saying, no, I might have been doing the bad thing, because the subscription was done by manipulation of his thought process, that this is good, come here, these are the benefits, but in reality that isn't the case. It's a case of bringing them onto your side. Then how do we be persuasive in our messaging and reach out to these people? Because as Josephine said, we know them, we know their mothers, and they're very influential. Just a matter of getting them.
Yeah, thank you, Ayub. I think maybe just to start with, you know, we have the Bill of Rights that is guaranteed by the Constitution of Kenya. One of it being the right to life. However, these rights have responsibilities and limitations. So when I talk about shoot to kill, it is within the law. When someone attempts to take a life of another person, or even take a life of a security officer, the security officer is left to the option to kill that person in self-defense. There is no room to read the Constitution to the bandit, because he or she doesn't understand. So when someone breaches the law and fights back, then that even in the law there are limitations of right to life. So as to your question of being persuasive, yes, the government can be persuasive, but I still have this thought that once an operation, and to agree with Dr. Lochodo, once an operation is done within the dictates of the Constitution of Kenya and the law, while protecting the rights and freedoms of the people, I feel that when a thorough operation is done, people will surrender to the government, because you must surrender to the government. That I, Wycliffe Kipsang, I'm here. Don't kill me. I have this gun. Others go to churches, like you say, and surrender. But they will not surrender if they do not see an equal repulsive force from the government. So I think that once a thorough operation, and to agree with you, within the law, is done, the bandits, the family members will surrender. They will say, please, I'm here. And that's when the government can now take their weapons, because Dr. Lochodo said, and rightfully so, the weapons belong to the government. When they surrender is when now we can have post-operation programs, psychosocial programs, to help those who had weapons, to rehabilitate them back to the society, to help empower them, to introduce agriculture, to go deeper in school infrastructure. That is when you can reform that bandit to a real person. And just a quick one, you know, sometimes we get worried when we see the government expanding. We have a place, Ayub, in Baringo South, Ilchamus ward, where there are two chiefs in one location. A chief from the Pokot side and another one from the Ilchamus side. Because they managed to expand to your side, and somehow, because they have political connections, they managed to secure a location within a location. I was worried when I saw just last week a gazettement by the Interior CS, our good Professor Kithure Kindiki, of many locations, divisions, sub-counties in areas that are affected by bandits. To me, it emboldens them that we can expand and still get ourselves new divisions, new locations, new sub-counties, and then we go deeper and get new governance structure.
But how does then the Interior CS gazette an area, and also the creation of a chief's office is dictate or subject to the constitutional process, is it?
Yes.
So it's not done out of order?
I can tell you that it is political goodwill. In fact, even these political leaders push for new locations, new wards, and when it is gazetted, they even go to the ground and say, look, I have delivered 3 locations, 3 new locations, and they win more voters in so doing.
Then there's a problem at the top. You agree with me?
Yeah, we need to take
how that process is done.
Yes.
And I'm sure Brigadier will agree with me on that, because if then a gazettement is done, a gazette notice basically is the communication by government to the Kenyan people, then it means that there is a problem at the top, now coming up from the ground, at the top, because it takes convincing, it takes an understanding to the level of the current CS, who is a lawyer, and to that effect, an international lawyer who understands not only the Kenyan law, but also how the law that binds international treaty and agreements is well put. I mean, how does that happen? Explain to me.
Ayub, you see, when those locations, divisions, and the administrative units were gazetted, even the area leaders told their people that we have delivered, even including those areas. I am tempted to say that the government should not actually even if it is within the law, gazette areas which have disputes, areas that there are still attacks, that bandits are still advancing to another sub-county. If that must be done, we should hold on. At least let us gazette Kiambu, locations in Kiambu, in Uasin Gishu, in places that are okay, and hold on in places that are affected by bandits, so that it doesn't even fuel them more for them having the urge to have their new administrative structures and take part in advancing.
Thank you. Interesting, but we sample before we sample the figures.
Yeah. I think that promise of new demarcation of spaces is also now fueling the insecurity. Because in Samburu, for example, there was a bandit who sent a message to somebody in Samburu, a lady, and told her, milk your cows tonight, I'm coming for them tomorrow, but actually my interest is not the cows, it is the land. So I think the politicians are also pushing the people at the ground level and telling them, maybe if we keep killing them and pushing them away, we can have that space. So that issue of land is very emotive, and I know for sure the people of Samburu, as an example, I know our people will die. They would rather kill everybody there than leave their land, because even when it reaches Ayub, a place where a bandit is sending you a message, then these are people who know you. These are your neighbors. These are people not far from you, and they just need your land. So it has moved. It has, as we said from the beginning, it has evolved from cattle rustling. It has gone to banditry. Now we are at land.
Okay.
It has now become a land.
Let's now get the sample of the feedback that you, the Kenyan people, have sent us, and our esteemed viewers here. The hashtag on X is Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. This unnamed viewer says the government has lacked information that cattle rustling is not banditry. Female initiation is not FGM in the affected areas. Diplomatic measures should be used, not use of force against people's culture. Village elders have to be used. Katebesk says Professor Kindiki has met leaders from the volatile region in big hotels, but their discussion have not borne fruit. It's time to change the rules of the game. The suffering on the ground is real. In fact, it is no longer banditry, but mass killing. He still says, I never understand the logic behind deploying 1,000 police officers to tension-hit Haiti, yet bandits continue to terrorize locals in parts of the rift with no one to restore order. Diana Rotich, 14800, says North Rift counties are among the least development counties with high illiteracy levels, malnutrition levels, and mostly affected by calamities such as drought, floods, and even locusts. These bandits are not more than 1% in each of the regions. Is it too much for the government of Kenya?
Exactly.
Gori Barasawere says it's so unfortunate that the government treats the known merchants of banditry with kids' gloves. The culprits that fund and aid the vice are just called upon to record statements, given coffee at DCI offices, and released to go. Engineer Lazaro says banditry problem in the North Rift region proved to be a war that can only be won by massive transformations, civilizations, and opening this terrain for developments. Socio-economic problems can be solved with militarily, yes, government should change tack. SRO says the surge in banditry in the North Rift areas extends far beyond the cattle rustling. It has evolved into profitable business. This violence serves as distraction, keeping authorities occupied and causing collateral damage. Let the police know the government takes charge. Let the police, okay, now. Leselian Zonik says, whenever we have political mandamanos in this country, the number of security personnel deployed will shock you. You will think the country is ending the next moment. Why can't the government protect the lives and property of its citizens from bandits-prone areas? Well, I will take your final remarks, starting with you, Brigadier, retired.
Thank you very much, Ayub, and thank you for having us here today. I want to just give you final remarks by saying that We know there's a problem in North Rift. We know the underlying causes of the problems in that area. We have responsibility to bring peace and order, but we have been slow and sometimes too cautious to take action as may be required. It's important that we actually take charge now with a view to giving peace and prosperity to our people. In so doing, I am requesting that the government comes up with a grand strategy of how to address the issues of North Rift, which includes both security and development, working together with the people towards achieving what we desire. In so doing, the best way to go about it is not pointing fingers. As it is now, things are bad right now. In fact, what I want to request right now, with what is going on, the government should just, even those in Nakuru now, I'll request them, give them an amnesty and a peaceful hand. Give them amnesty and peaceful. Just tell them, amnesty, we are now in charge. The rules of the game are as follows, and we want you to comply with what we are saying. After about a month or so, nothing's happening. Prepare yourself, move in peacefully to bring change and deal with those who are causing problems in the right way, politicians, civilians, and all that. But change that thing. In the long run, what you are doing must be long-term and sustainable. Don't pop in there and pop out. Go there, stay throughout, take charge, and control the ungoverned spaces. We can do it. Thank you, Ayub.
Yes, Dr. Ray.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think mine will just be to appreciate what the government is doing, but I would want to urge them to do more so that we can stem up this insecurity. Communities to volunteer those criminals that are within them so that the security agents can be able to perform effectively. And the churches or the religious groups must get involved. They should not just let it go. They need to be involved in this activity so that, because these are our people. And this is a collective responsibility, and it is all for us. Let us talk. Let the leaders talk to the people. Let the politicians come down. Let us also, from the grassroots, talk to our leaders. And together, we can bring a lasting solution to our people. Thank you.
Yes, Tobole.
Thank you, Ayub. I want to end this way, that the people of Baringo County and now other counties which are represented here have no other person to cry for as far as their security is concerned. It is only the government of the day. I want to say that the issue of banditry and cattle rustling has been there since time immemorial, but it has worsened in this government of His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, whom the people of Baringo County voted to the last man in the election in 2022. And the only agenda that the people of Baringo County had when they went to the ballot to cast their vote, majority in favor of Dr. William Ruto and His Excellency Rigiji, was security. And the people of Baringo County cannot experience any other development, be it housing, be it infrastructure, and so on, before security is handled. So I want to call upon the government to stop any other business in Baringo, and first of all, rein a thorough operation in Baringo to flush out bandits, to disarm them without stopping, and then now bring development after that. And lastly, we have seen the government intervene before. The government has the capacity. The government has the ability to deal with this. The other day when there was issues of people dying because of illicit brews in Mount Kenya, we saw Professor Kindiki, the CS, among other serious government agencies, intervene. Among other places that had had trouble. We call upon the government to equally listen to the people of Baringo, intervene, for we are not children of a lesser God. We deserve intervention from the government to restore peace in Baringo so that we can experience development in all other aspects. Thank you, Ayub.
Thank you very much. In conclusion, I would like to say that the state has the moral obligation to protect lives and the property of the people of Kenya. And one request to the government is they should compensate the people of Kenya, especially those who've lost lives and properties. And secondly, I would like to remind the government, if you are disarming the populace, then block the supply. block where the guns are being bought or the bullets, because that supply is what is fueling. Lastly, we cannot underestimate the power of future planning, the education of our youth. If those 25-year-olds and below who are the bandits right now, if 10 years ago when the counties were devolved, if they were all enrolled in school, we say, Ayub, in Kenya, it's compulsory to go to school, but it is not. We have counties that are still 80% illiterate, and those are the children who are going out there to become bandits. So why can't the government invest in education in all these areas and make it compulsory? In that way, if 10 years ago, those 25-year-old youths were taken to school when they were 10 years old and ensured they've enrolled. Today, there will be kids in college, and I'm talking from experience. We've rescued girls who were 10-year-olds, child mothers, and today they're graduates. So the government can invest in education in those areas to ensure these children are, but the biggest part, the government should compensate our people.
Thank you. Dr. Malcolm Lochodo is a peace campaigner. Thank you, Dr. for your time. Ahmed Mohamed, retired brigadier, your time is appreciated. Josephine Kulea, the founder of Samburu Girls Foundation, your time is appreciated. And Wycliffe Tobola, an activist, your time is all appreciated. And thanks to you too for working up with us here on the broadcast and sending in your feedback here on the broadcast. The hashtag on X has been daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. Up next is Health and Lifestyle with my colleague Safin Achiengoma. We'll see you on Friday morning here on the broadcast. Till then, good morning.